Corporations, or big businesses, wield enormous economic and political power and strongly influence us socially, culturally, and psychologically. We're going to take an in-depth look at the tobacco industry's control over the public and how it has gotten people to buy its products over the years. At the beginning of the 20th century, tobacco use was quite innocuous, harmless, or so we thought. Camel and other brands launched a mass marketing campaign, and during World Wars I and II, companies showed appreciation for our troops by distributing free cigarettes to soldiers. Smoking quickly caught on among American men, and 20 years later among American women. The 1950s were golden years for TV advertising. Tobacco companies sponsored shows like Gunsmoke and The Flintstones. Ads featured doctors, sports stars, and actors recommending their brands. And women were targeted with their own special vanity brands like Virginia Slims. Tobacco use peaked in the early 1960s. Its popularity began to decline in 1964 when the country's top doctor, the U.S. Surgeon General, released a report called Smoking and Health. It revealed that scientists had the evidence to link smoking to lung cancer, cancers of the mouth and larynx, and bronchitis, and increase the risk of heart disease. While this influential report convinced many smokers to quit, tobacco is still the leading actual cause of death in the United States. Remember from your textbook that the CDC coined the term actual cause of death to identify non-genetic underlying causes that are behavioral and therefore preventable. In 2014, on the 50th anniversary of the Surgeon General's seminal report, Americans learned that while we've drastically cut smoking rates by about half, 42 million Americans are still tobacco dependent. Refer to the social ecological model of behavior. On the policy level, government has acted aggressively. Over the years, we've successfully passed regulations that require tobacco companies to put warning labels on cigarette packages, that require them to reduce tar and nicotine, that keep tobacco ads off TV, billboards, and out of magazines, and that prevent tobacco companies from sponsoring sporting events and engaging in product giveaways. As a deterrent, states and localities have raised taxes on cigarettes so that a pack of cigarettes can cost as much as $14.50 in some places. Each time regulations have fought the tobacco industry has fought back with renewed vigor. When the industry had to cut tar and nicotine in cigarettes, it introduced filters, which it claimed would eliminate carcinogens, but didn't. It labeled some brands light or mild, a great example of fraudulent and deceptive advertising. When it was prohibited from advertising to youth, it focused its advertising on smokers looking for improved taste through menthol, sweetened, and spiced flavors, especially appealing to young smokers taking their first cigarette. When the industry agreed to a master settlement agreement with the states for wrongful damage, the tobacco industry said it would initiate public service ads to discourage youth from smoking. Does this sound too good to be true? It is. The messages were designed to do the exact opposite. They ruffled a teenager's image, making him crave a cigarette all the more by advertising to him that smoking is for adults only, and that parents should talk to their children about smoking. A recent intervention at the policy level, the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act, was signed into law in 2009 by President Obama. It finally gave the FDA authority to regulate tobacco products. The FDA could dictate ingredients, overrule new products, eliminate misleading labels, increase the size of warning labels, and put an end to sweetened and spiced cigarettes that appeal to youth. In addition, retailers now have a responsibility to deny purchase to anyone 26 and younger. Not surprisingly, the tobacco industry was one step ahead. E-cigarettes were introduced as a healthy tobacco-free way of quitting cigarettes. This assumption is wrong on 3 counts. First, e-cigarettes are anything but healthy. They are not just nicotine and heated water, but contain numerous chemicals and carcinogens that don't have to be declared because e-cigarettes are not regulated by the FDA. Second, because they are not FDA regulated, e-cigarettes come in delicious flavors, including bubblegum, chocolate, and grape, now prohibited in cigarettes. Because they are not taxed like cigarettes, they're cheaper and more affordable to youth. Third, e-cigarettes can be smoked in places cigarettes cannot be smoked, and the nicotine in them is as addictive as the nicotine in cigarettes. To round out the argument against e-cigarettes, there's no scientific evidence that they help cigarette smokers quit. But because of the veiled promise of being a cessation aid, many people, especially youth, believe that e-cigarettes serve a good purpose, so they couldn't be bad for you. Nothing could be farther from the truth. We need FDA regulation of e-cigarettes, and we need it now. As regards smoking, we've concentrated here on policy-level interventions to reduce morbidity or sickness and mortality or death in the population. But public health interventions have been made on all levels of the social ecological model, on the community level, on the institution level, the interpersonal level, and on the intrapersonal level. Public health has tried to stamp out smoking by attacking on all fronts. In your opinion, what have been the most successful interventions on some of these other levels?